What's up, party people? Today I have a guide for you on how to obtain the Dragonic Ungula and Kornu in Dekaron. These items are required to craft the Perpetus, so you want to make sure to get these farmed. Make sure to like the video, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so that you don't miss any of this epic content. Let's get this party started. Now, both of these items are actually farmed in the same dungeon, which makes it a little bit easy, and you can craft them both here at NPC Mater in Dravis Village. Now, as you can see, the Ungula, I don't know if I'm pronouncing these right, but the Ungula, I'm just going to say that, requires 1 Dragon Claw and 20 Sap Crystalline, and the Kornu requires 1 Dragon Horn and 20 Corrupt Essence. Now, like I said, both of these drop in the same dungeon, and the claw you get from the last boss of the dungeon, and the horn you get from the optional last boss of the dungeon. And these drop from mini bosses. And we'll head over to the dungeon and I'll show you that now. I do want to mention 2 things here really quick though. One is that you will need Dragonoid Signets and to craft Dream Powder to do the optional boss. If you need a guide for that, you can check it out here. And also, I just want to mention that this is not a Sacred Claw dungeon guide. If you do need a guide for that, you can check it out here. Anyway, let's head on over to that dungeon. In order to get there, it's actually pretty quick. So from Dravis Village, you need to go to the Dravis Field, which is the DK map. So you just head on over there and you run on in. So we're going to go in here. And then we're just going to run directly over to the Sacred Claw dungeon, which is down here. Now, if you do have Holy Water, you can just teleport there. I don't have it active on this account, so I'm just running. But once you're inside the DK map, you can just teleport to the Sacred Claw in dungeon entrance, which is right here. Now, once you've arrived at the dungeon entrance, you can just head on in. You are going to need at least a party of 2 or more, and in addition to that, you need 500,000 dill to enter the dungeon. So you're going to go ahead and you're going to run on in. Now, before I run to the dungeon, I just want to take a quick moment here to talk to you about the bosses. This graphic here will show you where all the drops are that you want. Basically, the Sap Crystalline drops from the boss on the left, the Corrupt Essence drops from the boss on the right, the Dragon Claw drops from the boss all the way at the top, and the Dragon Horn drops from the optional boss, which is not shown on the map here. Also, I do want to mention that all the bosses in this dungeon have a chance to drop the Dragon Tongue, which is another item you need for crafting the Perpetus. Now, when it comes to farming the Sap Crystallines, the first boss you're going to want to fight, or not the first boss, it doesn't really matter the order, but the boss you're going to want to fight is this Lab Chief Verta over on the left side of the map. And this is the only boss that drops that item. So you just need to keep killing this boss to get these drops. Now, the boss itself isn't too hard. I will just talk about the mechanic really quick here. But basically what's going to happen is, I have my sandals on, I'm getting really low. After a certain period of time, what's going to happen is the boss is going to throw you into a maze, and I just want to show you that mechanic, so I'm not trying to kill this boss too quick. Here it is. So you'll see you get thrown into a maze. What you need to do is just follow the maze. However, if you're like me, a black wizard, you can just use a bubble and just run past the, the maze and not even have to worry about doing it. But otherwise, just run through the maze. If you hit any of the edges, you'll die, so don't do that. And then you just kind of got to get in the corner here and wait for this. This boss isn't too bad. In general, one of the easier ones in the dungeon for sure. Okay, I'm gonna go over here, kill this guy quick. So there's that. And this is where I did not get a drop, but this is where the Sap Crystallines will be dropping. For the Corrupt Essence, you need to be killing Conjurer Edward, who is located on the right side of the dungeon. So we're going to go ahead and head on here. Now, this is a boss that some people have trouble with, and the reason for that is he actually can heal a lot. So if you're having that trouble, there's a couple ways, or if you're having trouble dealing with his healing, there's a couple ways you can get around it. One of them is you can use stuns. If you stun him while he's healing, it'll impede his stunning. Now, another thing that happens, as you can see here, is these dragons will spawn, and when the dragons spawn, if you don't kill them, they will end up killing you. So I'll show you that right here. Basically, you just need to kill the boss before the dragons spawn, or if you do get killed by the dragons like you've seen here, just run back into the dungeon afterwards and you'll be fine. Now, when it comes to obtaining the Dragon Claw, you are going to be killing the Benel Fairy, I think that's how you pronounce it, which is located in the control room at the end of the dungeon here. overall, the boss, once again, not too bad. Just after a certain period of time, the boss will spawn some numbers on the floor. You just want to make sure you stand on one of those numbers, otherwise you'll die. And if you're doing this dungeon with multiple people, you need to stand on different numbers, otherwise it'll wipe the entire party. So that's just something to watch out for here. Anyway, all you have to do is you sit here, you kind of wait for this little cutscene, and then it teleports you into the room. And then once you're in the room, you're just going to go ahead and you're going to take down this fairy. Not too bad. The Dragon Claw itself is a semi-rare drop, but compared to the Dragon Horn, the drop rate actually isn't too bad. So if you run this enough times, you'll get it pretty quickly, at least from my experience. But, you know, rates are different sometimes. It'd probably be good to try to get in here during like a double drop event or something like that. Now, okay, the last drop that you need to get is the Dragon Horn. And this is by far the hardest part of this entire process. The Dragon Horn has a very low drop rate. Very low drop rate. Sometimes you get lucky, you get it right away. I've seen people do hundreds of runs and not get the Dragon Horn. But when it comes to farming the Dragon Horn, you will be going to the optional boss at the end of the dungeon. Once again, you're going to need some Dream Powder. And when you're ready, you can go ahead and head on in. And I will talk about the mechanics for this boss. Now, this boss does have real mechanics, but those mechanics have not needed to be used for at least 5 years from the time I'm making this video. Basically, there are special spots in the room you're supposed to go stand during certain parts of the fight, but there's a way around that, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So anyway, when you're ready, go ahead, use your Dream Powder, and you're going to go on in and start attacking. Now, and I'm actually, oh yeah, I've got my Seg Ripper here too, I'm not going to worry about that. Basically, you want to make sure at all times that you keep one of your AoEs ready, and I'm going to show you why. So while you're fighting the boss, you're just kind of waiting, and you're just keeping your AoEs ready. And then once you see text pop up, you want to get ready to use your AoE. As soon as that drops, start using an AoE ability. And as you'll see, that area effective execution thing will pop up. And as long as you break that, the room won't kill you. However, if you fail to break that, everyone in the room will be killed. But basically, you just have to keep doing that. This thing has a ton of HP and it's kind of a pain, but you just want to keep doing that all the way until you've got the boss taken out. So after attacking this thing for a super long time, eventually you will kill it. As you can see, even with high damage, it does take a while to kill this thing. It's kind of a pain, but you just want to keep working on it. Once again, keeping AoEs ready in case the attack does come. And as you can see, we finished the dungeon here. And no horn drop, which is not a surprise given that it has such a low drop rate. Anyway, this is the boss where the Dragon Horn drops. There is an alternate method to get it at the end of the video, and I will show you that. So, once you have farmed all the items you need from the dungeon, once again, the 20 crystallines, the 20 corrupt essence, the claw, and the horn, you can come to Mater and you can make your Ungula and your Kornu. Now, just in terms of drop rates, I mentioned them a little bit, but these have a pretty good drop rate. You know, you're going to get one every other run or so. The claw is a little bit rarer, but not ridiculously hard to get, and the horn is very hard to get from this. And there is an alternate method, as I mentioned earlier, and I'll mention it after this. But once you have your items, you can come to Mater, or not Mater, Mater, and you can craft your Ungula, which is 1 Dragon Claw and 20 Tap Crystallines. And you can go ahead and you can craft your Kornu, which is 1 Dragon Horn and 20 Corrupt Essence. Just like that. And just like that, I just said that, but I'm saying it again, you have your Dragon Ungula and your Dragonic Kornu. So now let me show you another way that you can get these items. The alternate method of acquiring the Ungula and the Kornu can be done through NPC Karen. Karen has this option here about exchanging underground skulls. Now, underground skulls can be collected and exchanged through this interface here to craft any of the Dragonic accessories. Now, if you need a guide on how to get these skulls, well, not the skulls specifically, but the skulls come from the Crespo Hard Mode dungeon, and if you need a guide for Crespo Hard Mode dungeon, you can check that out there. Check that out here. But after you obtain enough skulls, you can come here and you can exchange them and you can get your Kornu or your Ungula. Now, I feel like it's pretty easy to get the Ungula itself. I think whichever one requires the claw itself, but the one for the horn, I recommend doing this method, honestly, just because the horn has such a low drop rate. I would personally just try to get a party, do Crespo hard mode, get those skulls, come here. What you do is you get a bunch of level 1 skulls, and then you craft a bunch of level 2 skulls using the seeds, and then you make your Underground Skull 3s here. So this is definitely the method I recommend for the horn, or the one that requires the horn, but other than that, you could just do Sacred Claw. Also, I do want to mention that Sacred Claw is the dungeon where Dragon Tongues drop, which is another requirement for making the Perpetus. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful. If you have any questions or suggestions, as those, you can leave them in the comments. And until next time, guys, take care.